Doctor Who, The War Between Land and Sea. If you thought this was a show about ideological lunatics, you'd be surprised. No, you were correct. It was inevitable, really, wasn't it? I mean, this series was written by Russell T Davies, a guy that thinks one of the most interesting things you can do with Doctor Who is take the Doctor out of it. Yeah, seriously, I don't know who let this guy be in charge of Doctor Who, or why he wasn't fired as soon as he started saying this crap. You see, this is the series that, according to one of the reviews, grabs the opportunity to expand the lore of the Sea Devils and bring them into the modern era with thoughtful comments on the urgency of the weather, something the show has to be commended for, apparently. Now, to anyone who lives in the UK, being exposed to the weather isn't exactly a pressing or modern issue. We've actually had weather for quite a while, but now the weather is urgent and terrifying. It's an emergency. It's a bold move. And a risky one. Whenever you make a show and only appeal to people who should be in a white padded cell covering the walls in their own excrement, it's always going to be a risky business, as that's such a niche opportunity. You're basically making a show for people at the BBC. And although Doctor Who has never shied away from topics like the weather, the impact of the series could be far greater than just a singular episode of the main show, which might quickly be forgotten about. This is somebody that likes the series, by the way. They're like, yeah, but I won't remember it at all. I say, I love it. It's absolutely amazing. The propaganda that he's put in this series is peak. I won't remember any of it, though. I really won't. This is someone that comes across as they like the entertainment for the message without actually liking the entertainment. And I get the feeling that's true for a lot of the reviews, given by the fact that I normally start these review summaries with the Rotten Tomato scores. Struggled with that one this time, though, didn't I? You see, The War Between Land and Sea is so popular, not enough people have reviewed it in order to give it a score. And if you click through to the 3 reviews, you'll find out that one of them was the Financial Times reviewing Doctor Who. What, did you see how much money Disney were wasting on it and just had to watch it to find out why? And this does not come at a good time for Doctor Who. Obviously, there was a period of cancellation or being put on hold. We're getting a Christmas special in the future just to desperately try and pretend that it's not in trouble. Personally, though, I can understand why there might have been difficulties, especially as Doctor Who has recently been sentenced to 30 months in prison over Matthew Perry. I mean, that's a story that'll bring anyone's IP into disrepute. And before anyone goes, no, you don't understand, it may not have had the viewing figures, but it's the merch. The merch has been selling gangbusters and really made the BBC loads of money. Well, it is strange how Ncuti Gatwa's Barbie doll, which I'm surprised existed in the first place.
I am Dr. Barbie. I am Barbie Doctor. Can I touch him?
That's been selling so well, it's already half price just 2 months after it released. He's the budget Barbie Doctor. In fact, the Ruby Sunday Barbie doll is actually more expensive than Ncuti Gatwa. She is a better character and was a far better star in the series. I don't blame them. That's why it was really stupid to get rid of her in season 2. But they couldn't have an attractive English woman in the TARDIS for too long. It would bring them all out in hives. I actually think the biggest side of desperation was the Doctor Who boss reveals how the new spin-off is linked to Children of Earth. Plot twist. It isn't. It isn't linked to it at all. They just want to make a mental connection or get headlines that if you love Children of Earth, you should watch this, because that was good. People like that, and they desperately want some of that reflective prestige. Whereas if you actually read into the article, I'll think you'll have fun if you watch this and Children of Earth together, because they're both about alien species encountering the human race in an ambassadorial context. That's the only link. They're both about aliens in Doctor Who. I mean, I have heard of reaching, but at this point we are elbow deep up a cow's arse. We use a lot of the same sets as in Children of Earth. Like, you'll see the same staircases. It's not even the desperation that makes me laugh. It's the incompetence. Like, if I was this desperate to keep a job and get another series, I would have put more thought into it. But I think he has. I think this is the best he's got. Just like the series, really, which overall seems to be given a 3 out of 5. Just enough to get a fresh. As for fresh, you need over 5 out of 10. This spin-off is long overdue. It's meant to be out next year, mate. It's actually early. The premiere has a cold open, accidentally pulling an aquatic monster out of the ocean. But things warm up quickly when we're thrown into bed with a shirtless Russell Tovey. If you appeal to 3% of the population, you'll limit your audience to 3% of the population. I tell you what, Robin Hood started it way better. With them, it was 3 minutes 27 to first binge. They even had intro credits. That's how you appeal to a wide demographic. They go through how humans are actually the bad guys destroying the oceans. But don't you know the Sea Devils were actually here first? Oh well, you got beaten by your superiors, love. happens. In fact, as this is an English show, the English already went around the world doing that once before.
I can be king, and we can start wars with the French.
I'm sorry if you're expecting guilt over it, but this is England. It's the home of hierarchy, dear. We'll beat you back into the underwater caves you crawled out of, love. I don't know what's happening here, but it looks like she should be in an episode of All's Fair. So Barclay grounds what could have come across as a rather silly infatuation with Salt, although he isn't a particularly interesting lead. You're really selling it to me. He's supposed to be boring. Oh, it's intentionally crap, I get it. That's the whole point. The problem is Tovey pulls off boring too well. Again, these are positive reviews. Really sounds like they don't like it, but like, no, but the message, you've got to watch it. How else will you get your latest downloads of evil? Well, the rest of the cast failed to live up to the epic quality of storytelling. I'm sorry. You go, most of the runtime is dedicated to Barclay and Salt, and that is over a silly infatuation where Barclay plays boring too well, and the rest of the cast is worse. Are you sure you want to give this a 3 out of 5? What could have been a preachy treatise on the impact of the weather feels far blunter and therefore more impactful coming out of Salt's mouth. So in other words, it is a preachy treatise on the weather, but because a blue woman's saying it, somehow that makes it more impactful. You seem like a bit of a racist, love, you really do. Is this why people like Avatar? It's like, well, if it was humans, it'd be a terrible story, but they are blue. It's not as smart as Davis' other projects. God, the bar's on the floor, and this isn't even as smart as them. I struggle to be as savage as this writer is accidentally, but maybe it's better to avoid subtlety with a project directed at a demographic as wide as this one. 3% of the population. Massively wide audience there. Gaping. So this is a really stupid story with a preachy treatise and a terrible cast that avoids all subtlety and just hits the message in your face. That's actually what I expected of the series. Words alone aren't enough. And while it uses some sets from Children of Earth, deliberately evoking comparisons does War Between Land and Sea no favours. It's ambitious yet awkward, endearing as it is clunky. There is some fun to be had, but it's flawed. That's a positive review. Bro, if those are the people that like it, imagine what I'm gonna say about it. It's only as why Iftikhar, who gave it a 4 out of 5, calling the spin-off the best Russell T Davies TV in years, which is simultaneously a compliment and doesn't really say much. Thing is, you may remember our good old Azwaya from articles such as, sorry, straight white men, Doctor Who was never made just for you, which, if you actually go to the original web archive version of the page, was Doctor Who was never made for you, says Azwaya Iftikhar. Definitely wasn't made for one of us. Just like the rest of the country. I do love Aiza's just sheer hatred for the indigenous people of this nation, though, when she immediately went to, I just can't stand these moral lectures in Doctor Who. They're becoming harder to justify. I've been trying my best. I really have. But I just can't stand my own morals being reflected at me. It doesn't make good entertainment. She's so close. The Doctor made a speech about cowards weaponizing lies, taking people's insecurities, fears, and making it currency. Almost feels like unnecessary repetition, hammering home the point of the episode by directly addressing the viewer, rather than conveying the message via action and dialogue. Well, that's because the people that this message actually appeals to are too thick to understand it when it's just put in a show. They have to hammer it home bluntly, as if they're slamming the message into your face, because you're retarded. Or perhaps the monologue would have landed better if it didn't feel like there was a similar scripting in nearly every episode of the season, banging the point over the audience's head. And then she saw a new series and was like, this is amazing! Thus proving my previous point. She did, of course, have issues that, while thinking that it wasn't made for me, when it was made for her, it was ass. I was excited for the first foreign Doctor. I've already been left disappointed. She goes on to list how a load of people were really glad that they were finally getting represented. There was a Ghanaian Kittian fan, Africa, Somalia. I imagined how my little brothers could now watch someone like them on screen, someone they could aspire to be. Because I guess there was no one they could aspire to be in their own countries. Because representation matters profoundly, she reflected. And I agree, which is why in Doctor Who it's vitally important that it represents the indigenous people of the UK. Because to be a British show, it must obviously exclude foreigners. Otherwise it wouldn't be British. Representation matters. It's no surprise then that she had a problem with Billie Piper returning, because ooh, that's problematic, isn't it? I love Billie Piper, but her return proves Doctor Who is doomed because Billie Piper doesn't represent her. She's too attractive. Billie Piper appearing at the end felt like a gut punch. 2 steps back after dangling the promise of more in front of us. Billie feels like the antithesis of what the show is all about. Constantly evolving, forward-looking series that pays homage to the past while still soldiering on with a defiant march. In other words, progression is less of people like Billie Piper. You know the saying, once you've gone cutie, you don't go back. I think my favourite is how she says Russell T Davies squandered cutie and Verada's potential. No, they were just obviously unfit for the role. You got everything they are, there just isn't much to it.
Here in Africa, in that barbershop, I'm accepted.
In fact, this was the same writer that actually made them delete their X account at one point because of that article. And you probably won't be surprised that on her website, which I'm assuming she designed herself, she has a particular interest in covering the intersection of culture with which hole you stick it in, obsessed with her own skin colour and what's between her legs, which makes her the perfect writer for the current series of Doctor Who.
It's almost not that deliberate. That's the life that I lead. It doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It just feels natural. This is the world.
You see, the BBC have made some weird changes to the Sea Devils. Sorry, we can't call them Sea Devils. Calling them the accurate factual name is now racist, apparently. You know, it's far more politically correct to say that we're getting invaded by Aquas. If I said what I would naturally shorten the name down to, I'm pretty sure I would be getting arrested by the state. Naming them that and then writing a show about how they're invading Earth, trying to destroy humanity and everything we care about as a nation, I don't think it sends a good message. It's not what I would have written, but it is what Russell T Davies would write. You're coming across as quite the bigot, Russell, I've got to say. Now, as you can see, the Sea Devils have had a bit of a change. We've gone from this kind of humanoid to the side ones, with one peculiarly human-looking fish. Female, obviously, flat-chested. It's Russell T Davies. Knowledge of female anatomy, not exactly his strong point. In fact, if he got confronted with one, his immediate response would probably be, ew. But despite this, just knowing the kind of content that Russell likes, I am fully on board with the theory that they have made this one humanoid, just so a human can make music with it. Like I say, Russell T Davies, you know where the romance will be, because this will be a very 2025 series. We even deal with water companies and profiteering bosses laughing in our faces. It's a series about water. You have to, because I wanted to show the BBC what this universe is capable of, the potential it has, the punch it can deliver. I've already placed my bets about who's punching where. There are monsters. There's romance. We know the kind of romance that's in Doctor Who nowadays. There are chases and gunfights. It's a bit tougher than Doctor Who, takes on tougher themes. People have tougher reactions in it, because there's no Doctor. And look, if there's one thing the Doctor is renowned for, it's being a weak bitch. Sorry, no, that was just cutie.
I just got snowman and I would like to go home.
Like a carrot in a snowman's face. No, all the other Doctors, they had tough reactions, didn't they?
I'm the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord. That's who I am. Time Lord Victorious.
The Time Lord Victorious is wrong.
That's for me to decide.
Basically, run.
In fact, the Doctor's tough reactions were the best bit of him. He will turn up and go, stop that, you've got one chance. And if you disagreed, he destroyed your entire species. The Doctor was based. The Doctor knew how to deal with problems. Especially like how he says the Doctor has a magic doorway they can take everyone to safety through. Whereas these characters are up against the wall and pushed to the limit. Yeah, whereas the Doctor pushed the enemies to the limit and then wiped them off the face of the universe. But the reviews, well, the 3 out of 5 apparently thinks that this spin-off could turn the tide for the Whoniverse by making it woke. In fact, when you bear that in mind, it does explain why Aswaya Iftikhar loved the series, because it really agreed with her. The person who writes for Pink News, which just so happened to give a summary about how this series is amazing, it's the best work in years, says one of our writers, where previously she commented, I'm sick of coming across comments online that seem to say my entire identity as a Doctor Who fan is woke nonsense. Right? Aisha. I swear it wasn't me. That was from her article where she said, I'm taking this latest Doctor Who rumour with a pinch of salt about Ncuti Gatwa wanting to leave Doctor Who, even though later her own opinion was, Disney have destroyed Doctor Who. She didn't realize it's her own ideology which is destroying Doctor Who. That would require self-awareness and an IQ above 85. There's an internal backlash over apparently woke storylines. We need to get over ourselves. Certainly do. There's an exhausting cycle of conversation over the show's plummeting ratings, constant complaints over the storyline, stilted writing, and dynamics between the Doctor and companions. It's honestly disheartening to navigate discourse online as someone from a marginalized community. And then she goes on to talk about how the ratings are actually doing really well, and it got cancelled. All this to say, look, Asia, she's not the, should have the best track record with being accurate in this regard. What's great about the Sea Devils as a civilization is we don't really know much about them, so we can just make it up. Get to see how they live, their environment, and all the different species. Look, they even had diversity of sea devils. But the show follows Barclay, junior guy at unit that gets dragged in above his station into an interspecies war. I don't really know why the humans are pitched against a background of fire versus water, but it turns out that Russell T Davies only returned to Doctor Who because he got to do a spin-off. In fact, he wrote episode 1 of this spin-off before Star Beast. So if you were hoping this spin-off will change the path of Doctor Who, no. It was written before the previous seasons. But we get to meet Barclay, his ex-wife, because Russell T Davies can't even comprehend a straight relationship working, and his teenage daughter. A crucial addition, because you could have a story with a male lead unless he was hamstrung by someone else. Unfortunately, Kate Lethbridge-Stewart is still the same character. It's difficult to care about the ins and outs of her personal life. Something we've seen earlier where we're supposed to think that a guy half her age is interested in her. Again, Russell T Davies, straight relationship. It's not really his area. It's like watching All's Fair. It's just like a pure delusion. Those scenes are the weakest so far. Well, Math Raw is slightly underused in the first episode. A big indication in the second. We're about to see a whole lot more of her. So watch this space. I get to look forward to that. There's one thing I watch Russell T Davies' shows for. It's the strong female characters. I mean, I love the last one in season 2 of Doctor Who so much, I can't even remember her name.
Planet of the incels.
Say yes.
But I suppose with her, the real characters was the propaganda she pushed along the way. It's not perfect. You know, I may have given it a 3 out of 5, but, I do have a lot of criticisms I'm just going to kind of brush over. There are still jarring moments that let the script down, including one particularly silly scene in episode 2. But so far, it does what it desperately needs to. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm just going to say it stands on its own. It's a separate series. Like, this is like a football commentary. Well, it's a game of two halves, and if in the second half we go out there and get the ball in the goal more than they get it in ours, we'll win. I mean, I don't expect intelligent commentary from footballers. I just do expect a bit more than that, you know. Of course, there are 3 more episodes to come. Anything could happen in that time. Really hedging our bet. Look, it could get worse. It could get a lot worse. Let's face it, it's gonna get a lot worse. It always does. A lot of people, when they watch the start of a series, they go, this is amazing. And it's because they don't actually like the series. What they've got going in their head is they're creating their own stories. They're making the hype for themselves. What they like about the start of a series is the potential that it holds for them if they're correct. And then they get let down as it goes on, and that's why people change their mind over a series and go, actually, this is crap. I think that's what's happening here. Even if you're a little disillusioned with Doctor Who, because they clearly know people are, it's worth a watch. You just might want to avoid eating fish for a good while afterwards. Well, that's not a good thing for the show to push. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the main theme of the romance story. And quite frankly, I don't care how many turtles have plastic straws shoved up their noses. If they want to pour out the ocean and declare war on us, I have a feeling we'll win. Unrelated note, Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill are going to return for a podcast about Doctor Who. And I just find it funny, I've not seen half of it, so we're going to rewatch it and talk about it. This really is a couple in search of an excuse for a podcast. Oh, here we go. Promising series explores socio-political themes like the weather, while stirring from their millions of years of slumber are the Aquas. This is a new high in writing. I was brought up on the Sarah Jane Adventures. Surprisingly good for a kid show, although the best episodes were the ones that had the Doctor in, as you'd expect for a show called Doctor Who. But so far, meets the highs of Davies writing in shows from the past years. Davies hasn't written anything good in the past years. That's like cutting off someone's legs and then challenging him to a 100-meter sprint.
That's like being disabled at a football match, yeah? I mean, she's very close to the action, but hardly likely to score a goal.
Yeah, of course you won. Davies manages to weave a story that is timely and relevant. I really love how this agrees with everything that I think about the universe. I tell you what, for someone that didn't like Doctor Who's moral lectures, that I love a series about all of them. Armed with the Disney Plus budget, you can tell it's been spent well here, such as the plastic apocalypse of episode 2. Is that the episode name? Oh my god, it is. The Plastic Apocalypse. This really is a show for uneducated Egypts, isn't it? I don't know anything about recycling. I just want a virtue signal. I've always loved the moral heart of the reboot, which if you mean the reboot since Russell T Davies's return, the moral heart of it was just evil. I can understand why you'd appreciate it. Oh, which for the most part has been politically astute since 2005. Going back to 2005 now, so this includes Tennant's first run. You remember that, don't you? Where he wiped out an entire species because they were invading London.
Gallifrey,
He murdered the Ragnarok!
I warned you. You did this.
My children!
I mean, I agree with you. That was based. I'm just surprised you agree, love. The War Between Land and Sea indulges in this socio-political commentary at its very best. It's what just likes it because it agrees with her. The conversation about the weather doesn't seem contrived or forced, despite everyone bringing it up, but natural, explored in a genuine fun way, pushing ideas to the most bonkers limits, which, to be fair, making up fantasy stories about it does actually fit in with the message. There's one moment where Salt takes drastic measures to gain control of the room, which represents a deeper commentary about our society without hitting us over the head with it. So a load of aquas, I can't believe you called them that. A load of sea devils invade the country, take drastic action and start wiping out people violently, and you're like, yes, this is what I want! This is the message I want in my series. This could be amazing, for all the wrong reasons. There are times the writing veers into cringy and awkward. You just have to power through. This is a review from someone that really likes it. They're like, yeah, we know it's crap, but it does really push the message, doesn't it? Also, Davis sucks on finales. So I'm not putting my eggs in one basket until I see how it ends up. I'm confident this will thrill and delight you if you give it a chance. Well, I am, what was your name? Asia, I don't know. They say Christmas only comes once a year, but it seems like it's going to be 3 times for me. It does seem like the BBC is trying to squirt this out as fast as possible. We start with 2 episodes, then get another 2, then like a finale. It's all over in 3 weeks. You know, get it all out before Christmas so it can build up to the big nothing, as we don't have a Christmas special this year. Well planned, BBC, well planned. No, everything about this spin-off series has been predictable. To the fact so reviewers cared about it, they didn't even review it. The ones that did are all ideological lunatics who really like the message. And to even them that absolutely love what it says goes, yeah, but, you know, as much as I appreciate the horrific messaging of it, it is presented in rotting fecal matter. After Ncuti Gatwa's series was over, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, how I was going to treat this series. But if this is a positive review, it's got to be worth a punt, hasn't it? So stay tuned, because this series is considered more blunt and ideological than the rest of Russell T Davies's series. And quite frankly, I can't wait. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.